I'm rolling starting right now. It started right now. Yeah, I already did it. At least this time I had the courtesy to tell you. So, sometimes I'll start recording and you don't know about it, and I've have several of them saved as
And you
blackmail.
should publish that shit. Stick it on the internet.
No, then the blackmail won't work because it'll
What do you
already be
have
out there.
written under my name?
I didn't put that. It says eats cocks for breakfast. I didn't put it this time. Josh put it.
For breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day of the week.
You'd love it. Uh, I got a question for you before you talk about what you wanted to talk about today. So, by far, the most views we've ever had on a short was one of the clips from last week. Just take a wild guess. Remember, Josh gave us a quiz, 25 questions. Just take a guess on what the clip was.
That got the most views?
Most views by far we've ever had on a short.
I can't even. I'm drawing a blank. What was it?
It was you straight up denying that Russia had 11 time zones. Apparently, that people loved watching that. Loved it.
It was the Soviet Union. It wasn't Russia.
Yeah.
I
And
still don't
Alexa
believe
just
it.
put you in your place.
I still don't believe it.
I looked it up. It's 11 time zones. It's the
I
truth.
looked it up last week during the show, and I was like humiliated. I was like, God damn, I let Josh outsmart me.
Do you feel that you grew as a person at all? Like you were wrong, and
I
now
love
that you
to
know
learn.
that,
I joke about things like that, like I've been joking about it. I love to learn things. I love to read. I love to learn things. In fact, and welcome to Reckoning Brothers, everybody. I'm Mark, and I'm having welcome to evening drinks on Reckoning Brothers, Reckoning Bros, whatever. I'm having Jameson on the rocks. I also have my ubiquitous and this life hack for single dudes. Coffee filters make great little drink, so you don't mess up your furniture. Scott, the ambiguously gay duo from California. Ace and Gary.
I
Remember Ace?
remember that.
Don't remember
I
Ace and
remember
Gary?
that. Yes. The big Robert Schmiegel, or whatever his name was. I
You
can't
could
remember, but
not
he was
do that.
brilliant.
No, there's no way you could do that fucking sketch
No, it's
on
the same guy
SNL
who
now.
did Triumph the Insult Comic Dog, and I don't think you can get away with him nowadays
No,
either.
you couldn't get away with Triumph the Insult Comic Dog. You couldn't get away with Pat, the androgynous,
Yes.
whatever she was. And what else could you get away with? Oh my fucking! There's just so much stuff. Oh, I sent you a text about a movie that people were apologizing for making. Oh yeah, one of the greatest crime thrillers of all time. So the people involved in the production of Silence of the Lambs were apologizing because they now believe that it's transphobic, even though Buffalo Bill wasn't trans. Buffalo Bill was an autogenophilic male who liked dressing up in women's clothes and was
So,
aroused.
correct me if I'm wrong, but an autogenophi or an autogynephiliac or something like that is when you, for solely for the purpose of getting a sexual thrill, will dress up as a woman only for that purpose. But the rest of your
Correct.
life, you're living as the same sex you were born with.
Correct. And like when you watch Buffalo Bill in that film, like later on at the end when he answers the door and he's talking like Joe Sixpack, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah, right. So yeah, and if you'll recall, like one of the more maybe obscure lines in the film that people don't remember is like Starling's asking Dr. Lecter about Buffalo Bill and all of his, and Dr. Lecter goes, Bill is not transsexual. He doesn't believe himself to be blah 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 blah. He wants to be, but but he can't, or something to that effect. And anyways, just like I'm like, spare me your apologies for like this great film that you were involved with, and 30 some years later, 40 years later, 35 years later, you think it was transphobic?
If you want to apologize for something, you should give all the money back to somebody, right? That's a real apology. If you say, no, I'll take all the money, I'll keep all the fame and everything that I gained from that movie, but I'm going to give a weak half-ass apology decades later. I don't think that counts. You got some money to give away, bitch, if you really want to apologize.
Yeah, and I think that also goes for nobody's illegal. Like the people that like Billie Eilish and nobody's illegal on stolen land. Uh, uh,
You know what, though? You know what? In her defense, she's actually housing, I think, 10 different illegal immigrants in her home. Oh, no, wait, that's a lie because they never fucking do that. They never put their money where their mouth is.
no, and they never
Ever.
give. And she's literally on Indian reservations land, and she's not going to give it back to them. Not an Indian reservation. She's literally on indigenous. Like, there's all kinds of like. I've looked at it. Like, I've looked at the map of what is now the continental United States, and like, not all of it was indigenous people's land. Like, there were huge swaths of North America that had nobody on it, right?
I kind of want to give her a little bit of. I want to cut her some slack, and I've wanted to ask you this before. You never really went through a commie phase as a young person, where I did. I was a hardcore lefty. I fell for all the bullshit and did it for years. So when I see someone going through that as a young person, I'm pretty sympathetic because I was dumb and fell for that. Do you ever think that maybe because you were always just so
But that's
in
not.
that?
But there's something you don't know about me before you get to your question.
Okay.
Um, I did go through my. I went through my liberal phase, and
Okay.
I wouldn't call it a commie phase. And I can attest to the fact that you were like a Stalinist when I first
I
met you.
the hammer and sickle, the whole
You were the whole
nine.
deal,
Yes.
man.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
you like you would have worn a Mao T-shirt,
I think I had a Che Guevara T-shirt.
and but I did go through this liberal stage. I was very young, and it was more of a rebellion, I suppose. Um, but I wanted Eugene McCarthy or Bobby Kennedy to win the Democratic nomination and be president of the United States in the election against Richard Nixon in 1968, and it was because of the Vietnam War. And
So
even
you
though
went
I
through a
was,
commie. You went through a slightly liberal phase for 6 months when you were 12. All right, cool. Got it. But
it was
don't
it,
you want to
la-
kick? Do you
it
want to cut her
lasted
some?
longer. It
Wait,
lasted, yeah,
let me just say this though.
yeah.
If someone like Billie Eilish in a year, I'm imagining you would have a huge amount of respect for her if she said, "Hey, look, I decided I learned some more. I don't regret what I said, but I've learned some more about it and I've changed my views." You'd probably have a lot of respect for her,
I'd have
right?
huge respect for.
Yeah. I just
Um,
like to leave windows open for these people so that they don't just double down on bullshit because they are intimidated by the other side or feel like that side isn't warm and welcoming to them.
I no, and we mock hypocrisy and insult petty tyrants, and that's our motto. And I will
Mm.
stick with that till the day I die. I forget which actress it is. It's not Gwyneth Paltrow. It's maybe I'll think of her name and maybe I won't. She's very wealthy, of course, like a lot of glamorous actresses are, but she drives a Prius or an electric car, lives in a small house. She's a tree hugger,
Mm.
but she lives her life. She doesn't fly on private jets. She doesn't talk about, she doesn't talk about climate change and then get on a private jet to Davos like DiCaprio and the others, right? She doesn't build mansions or buy mansions, oceanside mansions after berating everybody about how the sea levels are rising. And I
Oh,
have great respect for anybody who does that, right?
amen.
And like, she's also a vegan. I think the person I'm talking about is also a vegan. And not only does she not eat animals, but she doesn't wear their fur because I think I've seen like some Hollywood people that were like, "Oh, well, you shouldn't eat meat." And then they walk into the Met Gala with a fucking mink stole on. Get the fuck out of here. Go fuck yourself.
No, amen to that. That actually goes nicely into what you texted me you wanted to talk about, which is, of course, the acronym AWFLs. I think is the best way to introduce it personally, but it's your day, your topic. But I love that acronym. I think it's great.
Angry white liberal women. So
No, it is affluent white female liberals. awful. Affluent white
It's
female
angry
liberal.
white leftist dumb fucks who
Sure, you're wrong,
identify
but the sentiment's the same. So
as female.
yeah, sure.
It's so pervasive, and uh, the videos are out there. We're not going to, discuss every video that both of us have watched. I have seen dozens of videos of deranged white liberal women chasing immigration and customs enforcement officers who are about to arrest a pedophile or a rapist or a murderer, screaming at them, and I'm like, dude, and some of to their credit, a few of them have gotten out of the car and gone, "We're about ready to arrest a pedophile, and you've been following us." And like the one that I saw that comes to mind first is this woman screaming like, "What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing?" And he's like, "You need to stop following us. You're impeding law enforcement, and you're following too close, et cetera, et cetera." And she's like, "I have a right to follow you. I have a right to do this. I have a right to do that." And a an African American ICE agent finally gets enough of her shit, has enough of her shit because she won't shut the fuck up. And he walks up to her car and he goes, "Ma'am, we're getting ready to arrest. We are here to arrest a pedophile. We're here to arrest a child." And she goes, this woman goes, "You're a race traitor."
So she's insinuating
You had a white woman
that.
calling a black man a race traitor because they're going to arrest a fucking child rapist, and it was like simultaneously the greatest thing I've ever seen and the dumbest fucking thing I've ever
So
seen.
she thinks that if you're black, you should allow a child rapist to go free. Because I think if I follow the logic of what she's saying, that's kind of
Well, I've
also what
consumed a
she's
lot
saying.
of data, and the data shows that um, that African American communities, disadvantaged communities, are the most adversely impacted by illegal immigration and illegal immigrants.
Hmm.
They take up housing. They take up um, um, add burdens to teachers in schools that are already stressed, in clinics and hospitals that are already stressed. Like there is no other demographic in the United States more than the disadvantaged black communities in cities that are more adversely affected by illegal immigration and the the open borders policy we had for 4 years, where we just let like 8 to 10 million illegal aliens stream into the country. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now, when you see these videos of the awfuls, it seems like to me narcissism, and not just that, but someone that's not able to be an adult, or when they reach a certain threshold of anger, they act like a child. They lash out like a child having a temper tantrum. A lot of these videos, that's what I see. I'm like, oh, that's a 45-year-old woman, probably with kids, that is a child. She's never reached that level of maturity. Or if she gets triggered in a certain way, all of her niceties go out the window and she just turns into like a
They're
narcissistic
bringing their
animal.
kids with them to these protests. I'm like, who brings your, come on. So yeah, I wanted to talk about the scourge of leftist. Now, what does awful stand for again? Affluent.
Affluent white female liberal.
Well, I'm going to call them angry white female leftists.
I think that works. That means the same thing.
And they have and it's not just females, of course. There's, there are men there. Most of them are effeminate men who've been deballed and have nothing else better to do, probably unemployed or,
They
marginally
could be
employed.
there, in all fairness, they could be there to pick up women. It's not the worst idea I've ever heard.
Man, maybe I should give that a try at my
Give it a
age.
go, man.
You know,
Give it a go. Well, plus this is your world, your wheelhouse, so you'll be able to spin this around and make it work for you in that environment. I have
Uh,
faith in you.
I mean, I could pretend to be a leftist that
Just
thinks
drink
it's
mimosas, switch like to mimosas or Cosmos or
start
something like
smoking
that.
Virginia Slims.
Exactly. I can't imagine any leftist smokes anymore. I can't imagine that's acceptable at all in those circles.
I
But
think it is. I think it is with some of the younger ones because they believe that 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 climate change is going to cause the Earth to self-destruct. Before they reach age 40, and I saw a lot of those videos this week too.
it's just nihilism. They just smoke
Just
because fuck
complete
it.
nihilism.
Like some
So,
goddamn 60s
there's a
French person at a cafe.
there's a void in their life, and I know that a lot of conservatives want to couch it in, well, if they had children and were married, their life would be fulfilled and they wouldn't be doing this, and that's partially true, but there's more of a void in their life than just that. If you're a professional person and you're going to work every day and you're living in the real world, I can't imagine um, being obsessed enough to like go to a protest, whether a No Kings protest or an ICE protest or um, you know um, pro-Palestinian protest. Like, there's something missing in your life. There's meaningless. Like, do you have no hobbies? Do you not like to read? Do you not like to go out with your friends? What is missing? And I'll pose that question to you, Scott. Like, what is missing in a
There's definitely something missing. I also think like when I think of protests back in the day, I think like even in the 90s, and I'm sure more so in your day, a protest could be seen as maybe something fun. It could be seen as something like that everyone could get behind, even like an anti-George Bush Iraq protest. It seems like there'd be some fun there. It wouldn't be such a downer. It wouldn't
It
be so
wasn't a
negative and
downer.
hate filled.
It absolutely was not a downer. And I can tell you because I used to go to the May Days. Didn't you go to Wright State for a while?
No.
So did you ever go to one of the May? Did you ever go to one of the May Days parties?
Oh yeah,
The
yeah. I've gotten wasted, fucking drunk at Wright State
like
parties quite a few times.
I when I was in college, and I think I've mentioned this before. When I was in college, we used to go to debates with literal communists like Stalinists, like Angela Davis, Jarvis Tyner, um, former Stalinists like Eldridge Cleaver, etc. Um, we'd have a spirited debate, and then everybody would just like go get high and drink beer together afterwards. At May Days, like I had nothing in common with the May Days, like people that were at the May Days college bash, like ideologically, because they would go out and do the nuclear freeze march like a couple of days later and claim that the Soviet Union was being picked on by the bad United States. So I had nothing in common with them ideologically. But it was never ever 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 as um, filled with as much hate and divisiveness as what we see now.
Do
Like,
you think it has something to do with everybody's so all in on it? Like they've got such a hole, like you're talking about earlier, that a hole that conservatives say would be filled by family. They've got such a hole that needs to be filled. They take this stuff so seriously that it can't be fun. You know, there can't be any back and forth. There can't be seeing a debate and then partying with people on the other side afterwards because it's so meaningful to them to fill that spiritual hole.
yeah, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. And a person I admire very much said something in the last 2 days, and it went like this: the number of liberal white teenage girls and women with performative savior complex is alarming. They're all suffering from main character syndrome, and it's all tiresome as hell. And
Yes.
I just think that's very well stated and very true. I think a lot of it has to do with in addition to like having a void that would otherwise be filled with, a hobby like reading or owning a dog or going to the gym or being a foodie or having friends over or hosting dinner parties or being in a softball league or something, or having a husband and kids, right? I also believe it's the other side of it is ideological possession,
Hmm.
which
Do you
which
think, all right, do you think there's any kind of existential issues these people are working with that the previous generation didn't? Stuff like AI is going to take all my jobs. Stuff like, whether you believe it or not, they think that, climate change is going to ruin the world. That it's all these things are so existential, so big that that really helps them. It just helps the idea implant in their heads, and it helps them be such crazy bitches about it.
it's a combination of a lot of things. So suicidal empathy,
Hmm.
right? Ideological possession, the void in your life, whatever that void may be,
Hmm.
and yeah, and the internet. What the
Social
algorithms are
media,
feeding you,
baby.
what the algorithms are feeding you. The algorithms have been feeding you that that Israel and the Jews have been committing genocide, so you have to go march for the kafia. How do you pronounce it?
Hmm.
Is that it?
I don't. I'm
Come on, man,
American,
you're
dude. I don't
Jewish. You
pronounce
should.
anything that's outside of America. I don't know how to pronounce it because it's gay and communist. So I
And
don't know what a
yeah, that's why you
kafia
end
is.
up with these memes like, the current thing. Like, I'm just going to go protest the current thing. When your ideology becomes your hobby. And and that is the definition of ideological possession. Like, no other opinions, no amount of data-based information will ever get you to believe that what you already believe can be questioned, or that what you are ideologically bound to could possibly not be true.
Do you think that these people could be helped if they would have learned more basic critical thinking skills? One thing we've said on here many times is if somebody comes to you with a worldview that's simple, that explains everything, run, because it's not fucking simple. And if you have critical thinking skills, you should be able to figure this out. Do you think these people are lacking the skills and they weren't taught them, and that's part of this problem?
Absolutely, because yeah, we're now in the second generation of the Department of Education. The Department of I use I'm going to use quotation marks around
Yeah,
education.
I know you already had that nemesis on Twitter, but I think that the Department of Education is your real nemesis. They're your arch nemesis. I think if you've got a nemesis, it's them.
So it's no secret that the academy for decades has been dominated by progressivism and leftism.
Yeah,
And
it's obvious.
yeah, so if you've been spoon fed, a lot of hooey and a lot of taglines, one thing that I noticed about progressives is they rely on taglines and cliches more than any other group. You know, uh, no one's illegal on stolen land. Healthcare is a human right. Um, trans women are women. It's all taglines. Like, there's a tagline for every issue, and they keep repeating it over and over and over. When you're on social media, that's all you see from the left. Predominantly are taglines,
They're
right?
the people that brought you the "In this house we believe" yard sign.
Yes,
So yeah,
yeah, exactly, yeah.
man, I agree with you 100% on this issue. I I I just want there to be hope for people. It's been Karenized, the whole movement, don't you think? And that just makes it, when it's been Karenized, and when you hit that wall and you can't discuss issues with a group of people, and you see them and you can just tell, like, oh my god, it's one of them. It's just so disappointing.
Well, the first thing you notice about them is that you absolutely the first thing that comes to my mind is this person would not be fun at dinner parties. Like,
No, that's well said.
right? You would not
I
be fun
just
at
I
any
don't want to hang
party.
out with this
You
person. Yeah.
Nobody wants to hang out with you. That's one of the reasons why you're by yourself at a protest,
Mm.
right? Like one of the things you notice about the people protesting is like they're there by themselves. They're so often not there with a group. They go there to be with a group, but they don't go as a group,
That's a good
right?
point.
They don't go there as a group. There's a void in your life. You're ideologically possessed. Um, you have a very nihilistic and constricted worldview. You're right. Everybody else is wrong. You don't want to listen to other people's opinions. Other people's opinions are hate speech or right wing, whatever. And it's very depressing. I read something that I really enjoyed. Love of truth, in fact, provides a near perfect protection against ideological possession. Pathologically, ideological possession may even be understood as the substitution of that highest value by another. Love of truth, in fact, provides a near perfect protection against ideological possession because the disease, while deadly, has no defense against the honest admission by the afflicted of his or her symptoms. Nevertheless, the most pernicious and subtle feature of the disease prevents the possessed from seeking treatment or treating himself. Ideological possession can disguise itself in the mind of the afflicted as the very same love of truth that, in its authentic form, would cure it.
I love that. I think that goes right hand in hand perfectly with what I said about critical thinking and how important it is. The love of truth and critical thinking go hand in hand, would you not say? It's
The
just,
most, yeah, and the most frustrating thing about it is you have all the knowledge since records were kept.
you have all the knowledge, and if you pay $20 a month, you can have an artificial intelligence, the likes of which would have seemed like magic 10 years ago, to help you figure all this stuff out.
You're holding
I'll
a
go you
magic
one
box.
further.
You're holding a magic box in your hand,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, exactly.
I was talking today. I was talking to somebody. And I said something today about. Oh, I know what it was. Let's find it because it was just it was so bizarre. It was so stupid and stupid. It's just so fucking stupid.
I think what's going to put you in a box in the ground is going to be Twitter. I think it's just one of these people is going to say something to you one time. You're going to have a heart attack. You're going to keel
No,
over.
I enjoy. I enjoy.
Promise me you go outside sometimes
Oh,
and
I
touch
do.
grass.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah. The thing about it is, what's funny about it is like people will go, and they'll say to a politician or somebody they don't like is like, "Oh, your time would be better spent like taking care of the homeless instead of being on Twitter." Nobody who is even relatively smart needs to needs to spend much time typing out a 6 second response to something stupid. It's like it really doesn't take that much time. Like to, it just doesn't. It's instantaneous. So yeah, it doesn't. So Melissa Chen wrote something really smart,
I love
and it
Melissa Chen.
and it's about the Olympic athlete Eileen Gu, who enjoys all of the freedoms in the United States, and then goes and plays on China's Olympic team. And it's really long, so I'm only going to read a small portion of it. There's a reason that major media outlets and luxury brands all fawn over Eileen Gu. It's the quintessential Davos mindset in action. Her case reinforces the transactional ethos of neoliberal globalism that all people, cultures, and allegiances are fluid, unbound by borders or heritage. Davos, man, prioritizes economic opportunities and universal values like individualism or multiculturalism above all else, right? And she closed it with, the people who don't get this are also the ones who have no conception of the visceral, co- covenantal bonds of shared history, sacrifice, and sovereignty. Sadly, international organizations, multinational corporations, and media conglomerates all agree with them. So she made the cover of Time magazine, and a lot of people have made a whole bunch of really smart observations. Like the press is running after running after members of the United States Olympic team, asking them what they think about fascism in America, right? But not a single one of them is running to Eileen Gu saying, "What do you think about the communist dictatorship you're representing?" This dude goes, he literally says this. I can't believe he said this. This is it's like my mind broke. So after this really well thought out, very well written opinion that she had on Eileen Gu, he goes, if you studied sociology and anthropology, you know that identity is fluid and opportunistic by design. Societies are but negotiated and negotiable social contracts, and not immutable totems like you describe. Stop living in a world that always tries to find enemies and villains, and try to live your life where you embrace others instead. Trust me, you will turn out much less miserable.
That is someone who stopped their growth at college sophomore. They reached
Correct.
college sophomore level. They're like, I'm done. I've learned everything I need to learn. I'm done. I'm just going to live my life based on what I've learned so far and be a complete fucking ignorant surface level motherfucker for the rest of my life.
My reply to this guy was, what in the goddamn fuck do sociology and anthropology have to do with enjoying all the freedoms of the United States while standing for a communist dictatorship that just killed 20 million people in 200 countries by unleashing a worldwide pandemic from a shittily run CCP lab?
And you didn't even have to bother bringing up the famines during the 60s. So
No, I
that's
just had
cool.
to brought up like the most recent thing. I
Yeah,
brought up the current
in
thing,
another 10 years, you're going to be able to bring up another fucking thing even more recent that's going to
right?
kill
And he goes,
millions of people.
this, listen what this motherfucker says. This guy goes, posts like this are exactly what brainwashed people like you spit out. If you think Chinese propaganda is bad, the Western one is even worse. Now, that
College
is
sophomore.
that is mental illness or colossal stupidity. Comparing the free press in the West to state media and a communist dictatorship is insane. That's insane. I had some guy come on and tell me that I was brainwashed by the CIA, and I didn't bother telling him that I hated the CIA for years. So of course I didn't let the CIA brainwash me.
That's a good reason not to let them brainwash you.
Like I
I
really
don't,
I
I
don't
don't think you
hate
can resist brainwash by just saying, I'm not going to let it happen.
I don't
But
hate the CIA. It's like I actually kind of like the CIA nowadays. In the year 2026, if you are comparing Western media with state-controlled propaganda, and then telling somebody who avails themselves of the cornucopia of knowledge that's available to everybody in the West and calling them brainwashed, I don't know. The only thing I can think of that's comparable to that is like the pro Hamas movement that keeps telling me the Jews are the Nazis, right? No, you're just a Zionist Jewish Nazi.
that all makes perfect sense. I think it just goes back to what I keep saying. People don't make their decisions based on facts because we're animals created through evolution. It's all about survival in the tribe and all that shit. It's not about looking at things rationally and being adults and coming up with their conclusions based on facts. That's just not how most people live their lives. It just
And
isn't.
yeah, and then, yeah, and I think a lot of people just want to, a lot of people want to be in the cool kids club. And if you're not out
Yeah.
protesting genocide or protesting the elected king, right, or protesting fascism in the freest, most prosperous, most generous nation on earth, I get really weary of people like doing this performative shit about how um, how bad the United States is, um, all you, how awful we are. The United States has we've provided $1 trillion in humanitarian assistance to other countries because uh, to over 100 countries because they don't understand basic economics.
Fascist.
You know,
Yeah. All right.
like,
I
and they're
know
like,
this is.
I'm sorry, I just close that thought out with, you know, when the replies I get from leftists in person and online from that is, well, that wasn't humanitarian assistance. That was we're sending them missiles. Motherfucker, who do you think shows up? There's only one country in the world that can show up with an armada of hospital ships, thousands of doctors, dozens, hundreds of rescue dogs, millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars worth, millions of gallons of water, food, medicine, anywhere in the world, whenever disaster strikes, man made or natural. And it's the United States. And we've been doing it for decades and decades. Every time there's an earthquake or a volcano or uh, or a nuclear facility melts down in Japan or an oil spill, you fucking name it. There's one country that's there every fucking time with billions of dollars, billions, tens of billions of dollars, thousands of doctors, armadas of ships, a sky brimming with aircraft, helicopters, planes dropping food, medicine, and water, and Americans down there on the ground with rescue dogs rescuing everybody. It's not the Chinese, it's not Mexico, it's not Europe, it's the United States.
I the whole time I thought you were going to say Croatia, but yes, the United States.
And
I
and it's not just because we have the heart to do it. It's because we have the economic system that creates the fucking wealth to do it. That's why. We have an economic system so powerful. Democratic capitalism is an economic system that's created so much wealth that not only do we have the heart to go to the earthquake devastated island of Haiti or the volcano devastated city of whatever, province of whatever, not only do we not have the heart to and the wherewithal, we have the wherewithal, we have the ability, we have the money, we have the resources, we got the planes, the ships, we got fucking everything. We got the fucking Super Bowl ring.
amen, sister. I love it, dude. I know this is your thing, but to close it out, I would suggest you want to give a 1 minute. You're sitting in front of one of these offals and you're at a protest, right? And you have 1 minute to convince them, to
Oh,
convince,
Jesus.
not necessarily argue, but you get your Hail Mary fucking pass shot to convince this woman to just dial it back and think and open her mind and think rationally. What do you say?
I almost don't know where to begin because ideological possession is so powerful and propaganda works. People don't realize that propaganda works. When you've been told your whole affluent life that that you should feel guilty for your background, your country, for the color of your skin, that you should feel that you're a part of a civilization that colonized everybody. When you're told when AI videos and and um, social media accounts that have millions of followers put out an edited video that shows a woman arguing with a police officer, and the police officer or the ICE agent sprays her with pepper spray and doesn't show the fact that she hit him in the face 5 seconds before that, and all of that becomes your worldview. I don't know. Ask me next week what I would say to them. I
Oh, okay, I will.
because I God, honest to God, as God is my witness, I'm not sure where I would start because because you're having a conversation with somebody like, well, like I just mentioned about, the person that thinks I'm brainwashed by the
By the
CIA,
CIA.
right? Living in the most in the part of the world where the most information that can possibly be available to anybody of of the free press and the First Amendment and everything else that we have here, and especially in the United States, where we don't do censorship, where we don't arrest people for you know a, a Facebook opinion, like they do in France or Britain. When you say, I'm upset that Islamists have taken over my city, and you get arrested for that. So so I'm going to have to research it. I'm going to have to research where I would start with that.
Good answer.